most willing to exploit that dynamic, the ones who blur the lines between campaigning and entertainment, get the most attention. No presidential candidate ever had. In 2024, the Media team decided to make a podcast about their outlook, especially to young, low voters. Why podcast? Because the big listening to us here in the Edison Research reports that podcast reach over 80 million countries every month. Nearly 60% of listeners are under the age of 35, and 62% of regular listeners said that podcasts felt more trustworthy than mainstream media. Contrast that to cable news. CNN or Fox viewer was over the age of 68.
I think most people are still watching and reading newspapers and reading CNN.
Over 70% of Americans under 30 watch cable news globally. So let's see a little bit of this on this show. The Joe Rogan experience reached over 11 million per episode. Now Boys full send podcast about 5 million per episode. Lex Friedman shows 5 million. And Frederick Steve with Andrew Schultz over 5 million listeners. This isn't just about big numbers, it's about the brand. This is that communications like this that helped Trump win, explaining that those who weren't watching any legacy coverage, they're politically engaged, but they consume hours of long-form content every day. According to the American National Election Studies, before, among men under 30 said that they should rarely watch political news. 27% said they'd heard about Trump through a podcast clip. Billions, like billion news. This is about where Trump showed up. It was what he talked about. His economic policy points. Trump believes what he would call humanizing. He discussed his late brother's struggle with alcoholism. Theo Long Show. Cryptocurrency on the Black Boys podcast. He revealed his biggest mistake with Joe Rogan. I think some people should said that the conversation episode was blinded, trusted, said they preferred content that felt unscripted, personal, thinking that like people down. Donald Trump's son, was 18 years old, playing a crucial role. The recommended shows that his generation watched. 20 minutes ago, it's up to the young man. Every show Darren picked out turned into ratings gold. So to speak. This was part of a broader campaign to target younger voters. People were extremely Democrat by drifting away from conventional politics. And it worked. After years of historically high support among Democrats, a significant share of young voters swung towards the Republican. The Republican is always down third with young people. Plus, this was a calculated bet that authenticity beats discipline. That casual conversation would spread fast on TikTok and Instagram and see clips than any press conference ever did. One of the most striking aspects of this approach was its relentlessness. Minutes lead up every single day. The goal was all Trump, all the time. In 2016, MediaCom estimated he earned over $6 billion in free media coverage. In 2024, he tried to replicate that, but across podcasts and short-form video. There's speculated podcast views. With short videos on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and coordinated hashtags with friendly influencers. And I'm saying there's a lot of people see it, and everyone, there's a lot of people see that. And the traditional television, which is getting a little bit older, and maybe less significant, could be less significant element. How this is part. This creates a self-enforcing cycle. Trump appeared on a podcast, and clip from that podcast went viral. Legacy media covered the viral movement. Then Trump responded online and created yet another way. Yeah, I think just to get what was a very good Trump and Harris took almost the opposite approach. Her campaign strategy relied on mainstream television and other influence. Networks like ABC, CBS, BBC, and a limited number of podcasts that were tightly controlled, such as Call Her Daddy. Why avoid the big unfiltered shows? Because her team feared unpredictability, viral slip-ups, and massive discipline. Why is it so good? It's so clear about it. And it's what? Still shape public opinion among the crucial media of the world voters. But the data showed that younger newer voters and the Democrats didn't begin, they weren't watching right now. How often is it television? So while Harris stayed cautious, half of leading voters were for the fun, scrolling, listening, sharing content that felt more like entertainment than even politics. In a landscape driven by attention, caution doesn't trend. In the end, Trump embraced strategy built in raw, unscripted, omnipresent media. The idea was simple. Frequency beats polish.
I built some build the rules. And there were those that say, this guy's sterling weeds. And then others would say, oh, you have a better one. That's not a story. If you do some weeds, then you do it.
Harris bet on discipline, careful scripting, and legacy credibility. But even that didn't work. But on the algorithm-driven feeds of TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, authenticity and volume would win. That's why you see a funny clip of Trump joking around with a golf course or telling a personal story on the following page over and over again. It's also why Harris never accessed a massive audience that waited for golf courses every week. In an environment where spectacle outperforms caution, her approach just couldn't compete. What makes Trump's strategy unique is that he never stopped, even after being elected. This wasn't just a campaign tactic, it was a failure philosophy. And this is how the campaign. While President Trump used social media as a parallel press office, Central reported that in the first 100 days, he generated over 6 billion impressions across social media. That is unbelievable. His team called it the permanent campaign. Every tweet, every video, and every viral clip served a purpose to keep supporters engaged, to keep critics on the defensive, to suck up all the oxygen so no one else can set the agenda. That is what they do. I'll give you a few examples of the strategy of what the reporters call script. Over and over, Trump will announce that a political sequel was coming in about 2 weeks. In June 2020, he said, I'll announce the TikTok buyer in about 2 weeks.
But we have a buyer to pick up, I'll tell you what that's going to do.
It never happened. He also said in about 2 weeks we'll respond to Iran.
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
That is said in 3 days later. In April, he teased the infrastructure plan in 2 weeks. He never came. This created a perpetual clip, generating headlines, fueling speculation, and delaying scrutiny. The Hill called it distraction disguised as transparency, and this was extraordinarily effective. But every time reports faced what might happen next, it spent less time understanding compared to Saddam's approach because Obama was faced with policy to protect optimism. This was built on college and deliberate. Yes, they got a lot to do.
Everybody's always blaming Israel.
I'm reloading fast again!
The line between campaigning and governing disappeared. In fact, the presidency didn't contact me.
Oye, retirémonos! Move back!
Dominate the conversation. That is what makes Trump's strategy so consequential. In this case, campaigning, we showed that in the age of social media feeds, the line between president and influencer
Mareo, back up!
so what do we learn from this?
Voy down! Everybody get down! Vale verga, man!
Itself was a product. It didn't matter
Help the homie out!
if you go to him or one of them, if you were talking about him, you were good. Trump, and in an economy that really values attention, that's the only market that really matters. The question isn't whether other politicians will copy this strategy. They already have.
Yeah, I'm shocked by social media. I encourage you to check it out.
The real question is whether democracy can survive in a system where the loudest voice, not necessarily the best ideas, always wins. Let's get there, and thanks so much for watching. And if you can, please hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. It really helps us dive deeper into videos, how power, the economy, nations, and our lives really function in our modern era. Again, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
You're dead now, fucker! Tell all of my American powers about China. But big and perhaps they're the only advisor that compares every Medicare plan people around $100 a year. This will read the testimonials. One woman, Jill, she said that that didn't appear on the Medicare.gov website. That's how broken the system is, and that's how valuable it is to have So, if you're looking for Medicaid guidance, don't go alone, call the number below to speak with the chapter and get clear, unbiased guidance on your Medicaid.
You're fucking dead!
Bring us to Private Time, Washington correspondent for JNS News. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. There are reports today that Iran is allegedly plotting a surprise attack on California in retaliation for US strikes. The FBI is warning people in California that are allegedly fired from drones. Donald Trump is saying he's worried about it. What do you think of it?
Well, two different things at play here. When you're talking about the Iranian attacks on U.S. soil, Chinese people should be wary of their kidnapping plots they've employed in the United States. Several suspects have been arrested, convicted, assassination plots against the president. Certainly so. When you're dealing with Iran, they put terrorism around the world. When it comes to this particular event in California, there should be a little bit less than meets the eye. Number one, it was supposedly, according to the news report, issued at the end of February. Well, February 14th was the first day of the U.S.-Israel-Iran conflict. So it was a pattern that's based on something that happened before the conflict even got underway. So it's not necessarily the time to the current war. But beyond that, California authorities say they get alerts like this constantly, and that sources indicate that it wasn't based on one specific credible with evidence. It's a general alert based off one tip that began looking found to be particularly credible. So, yes, and no, we learned what's not about this particular event.
Okay, this is a very fair assessment indeed. Let's talk about the conflict. The update today is that 3 commercial ships have been struck around the Strait of Hormuz as Iran is stepping up its efforts to halt traffic through the critical oil conduit. And US forces say that they've destroyed 16 Iranian mine-laying vessels. Can you talk to us about why this is really a flashpoint in the conflict, the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, this is a very narrow waterway around the Gulf region in which some 15 to 20% of global oil passes through. It's a very, very narrow area. Ships have to go in and out in a very specific manner, and Iran can shut it down, can control it, can plant mines there. They have a lot of authority, and they have a lot of ability to dictate who goes in and who goes out of there. And of course, when you're talking about that volume of oil and other oil products that go through there, we're talking about higher oil prices. We're talking about chaos in the global market if Iran shuts it down or even disrupts it to a significant extent. So The U.S. very through with their threat to start eliminating these vessels that have the ability to lay down these mines. A big question right now is, did Iran actually lay down mines, or the U.S. decided to strike? Keep in mind, there were, for a long time, mine-sweeping vessels, American sweeping vessels that were based in Bahrain for decades. Those were recently pulled back to America and are sitting in a yard right now in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So if there are already mines in the Strait of Hormuz, it's going to be problematic for them to get those points when Iran got to jump there on the U.S.
Okay, the International Energy Agency has agreed to release a record 400 million barrels of oil from its emergency reserve in an attempt to bring down crude prices. But the World Energy Watchdog said that 32 of its members, one of which was Australia, have agreed unanimously to release the emergency stockpile. This intervention is the release of 182 million barrels of oil in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine back in 2022. What do you make of this decision, and can you talk about the impact of this one?
Psychologically, it sounds like a lot. I mean, you're talking about the billions and billions of the barrels of oil that have been reserved. So when you look at the simple math, what are we talking about? There's 20 million barrels go through the Strait of Hormuz every day. Only 1 billion barrels reserved. So when you start to do the math and how the day doesn't last long, and keep in mind that everybody is doing this all this so there's no interest that was happening today. It doesn't mean that everybody's necessarily all in on these particular endeavors. So it's a very, very short-term solution. I would say an announcement to try to calm the markets, but if this conflict goes on, if it goes deeper, and Iran continues to hold on to the Strait of Hormuz and they can be disrupted, those battles, they disappear very fast.
Let's talk about the timing of this war. We're on day 12. I mean, it's 12 days. It's not really a long time when you look at how long wars typically drag on for. We've heard from Donald Trump. He says that this is going to be short-term. What do you think is going to happen? What does short-term really mean? And of course, there's a discussion around regime change. It's going to be something that's still very, very difficult. Do you think that is something that will be able to achieve in the country?
A report out just a little while ago showing U.S. intelligence reports don't indicate that the regime is falling, collapsing in any way. The report came out earlier on today. Listen, 12 days, not long in the course of history, but when you're running the bomb shelters constantly, and when you're in those Gulf countries that aren't used to having missiles ring down on them, 12 days is an absolute eternity. So it's certainly weighing on the region. When it comes to down in front, Ukraine, they believe it's achieved, and it's about all of our objectives here. Obviously, more will round up soon, but there's been no indication, and perhaps directly has refused to comment, no indication about what exactly kind of that goal line is. Where are those parameters that we need to say, okay, that's it. Testified publicly out of the open to try to give the American public a better sense about what it is ahead.
Iran suggested that it may withdraw from the 2026 World Cup after claiming that members of the women's team in Australia were taken hostage after they applied for asylum in Australia. They've now been granted that asylum. So Iran is now hinting that its men's team might skip the World Cup. What do you think will happen? Is that likely?
Taken hostage. I mean, it's an absolutely ridiculous assessment by the Iranians. That they're obviously women that wanted to get away, that want their freedom, and Australia able to step up and provide it for them. There was actually a more definitive comment a few hours ago from the Iranian Sports and Youth Minister saying it's not possible for Iran to compete in the Men's World Cup here in the U.S. They have 2 matches scheduled for the Los Angeles area, 1 more in Seattle. He didn't use the reasoning about the hostages, but those seeking asylum, more so that the United States attacked Iran. point now in terms of a couple of years after we then built it, we have any sense of safety and be able to concentrate on play. I think that fear no defection, certainly so, but they have the mix right now where FIFA is very, very close to Donald Trump. They want this tournament to go off without a hitch. They want it to be successful. They don't want controversy. They don't want all these sideshows. Donald Trump has also sent mixed messages at one point saying, I don't care if you're on the money. And also trying to say, hey, I want this thing to go off without a hitch and everybody to participate to qualify. So for now, this is a side story, but certainly as the weeks and months go on, it'll take more of a center stage as the World Cup always does.
Live at Rockingham, Washington, correspondent for JNS News. Thank you so much for your time.
No way. You ain't going. Are you hip, bro? Pull back. Oh, give me a sec. I'll reload.
So much for your time. It's great to see you. Let's start with the conflict in the
Goddamn.
Middle East. President Trump saying that America has already
Oh,
won
shit.
against Iran, yet they're still clarifying that the job is not yet over. Up curious.
Racing Epic Fury. Is that a great day? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only win. If we've won, let me tell you, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. In the first hour it was over. But when they gave me a list of names, it's absurd. They did like, sure. Sure, and they gave me like Epic Fury. I said, I like that. I like that thing.
So Americans are actually very entertaining. Stand by to watch the Olympic media not to come down. But we know that the US has gone down. It's the Iranian nation and the US force absolutely winning this war. Yet Trump has made the point that it's only going back every 2 years, and many of us are certainly hoping that we can see racing change. How do you see this conflict change?
Well, obviously, it's still ongoing. You have Iran launching and deploying a series
You're
of
going
bombing
nowhere.
ships. Around 16 ships were taken out in strikes. Basically, they're like a ship going down there trying to cause as much destruction as possible. They're attacking cargo vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. And we know the Strait of Hormuz is very vital shipping routes for global trade, for oil transportation. They've been striking using drones in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE. So they're basically trying to cause as much destruction as possible. While the US and Israel took out Khamenei within the first day, and reports indicate that his son, Moqtada, who is now the leader, that he was also wounded in those strikes. His legs were injured because he didn't show at his recent allegiance ceremony. They had a picture of him, framed picture of him instead. So, while President Trump has made those comments, there are still many Iranian drones being launched, many missiles being launched, and they're basically trying to cause as much destruction as possible to every country in the region. They attacked Azerbaijan, they launched drones at Cyprus, of course Israel. They killed over 80 people in the residential area. So they're a sinking ship, but they want to go down as much destruction as possible.
Was saying that only when we started at the start of this around 12 days ago when many had been killed, we were the people reminded that they were on the verge of liberation, are on the verge of liberation, and we've been seeing people, Iranian people around the world celebrating. A story that has certainly gripped the nation here in Australia is the Iranian women's soccer players, and there was of course huge concern for their welfare after they bravely decided to refuse to sing the national anthem. But then they were labelled traitors by Iranian state TV, and we witnessed some of those players signaling their hopes 2 days ago. So 6 of the players have been granted asylum here in Australia. Donald Trump had a part to play in that as well, calling up outright these women were offered and granted asylum. But of course, not everyone chose to stay in Australia. Some chose to go back to Iran. They had concerns about their family and their family in Iran. So how do you feel about this story, Ollie? I'm sure there's still plenty of concern for the ones who've gone back.
Well, this was incredible and encouraging. Great woman to defy the regime and refuse to sing the national anthem. That took incredible courage, considering what the regime does to people that don't play by their rules. As we know, Iran killed tens of thousands of people during protests in January. After they shut down the internet, they carried out the most horrific massacres. There's a bit of brave Iranian people continue to take to the streets and still continue to take to the streets. So this move by the football players, this silent protest was incredibly powerful. And as we saw, the women that were granted asylum, you saw the photo of the post with British Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke, they removed their hijabs. That tells you everything. These women could be for their freedom. But there are, of course, many concerns about their family members. We had the story yesterday of one member of the football team has actually been granted asylum, but they've now decided to return to Iran. So we saw also footage of the handlers of the football team. One of the women clearly was very distressed. She had been pulled by another teammate to the bus, surrounded by the Iranian regime handlers. And the woman that did change her mind contacted the Iranian embassy, and that then exposed the location of the other women they had to be moved. So, clearly the regime is putting a lot of pressure on these women. They are not trying to accept example, they're trying to spark fear among them. And, just this week, Iranian regime officials, including the Iran police, have been on state television channels threatening people as to enemies if they dare to take the side of the US and Israel, if they dare to defy the regime. So, we know these women are facing very severe consequences, and we saw them even doing a distress signal, which was really harrowing to see.
Very harrowing to see. I was listening to my colleague Rita Kennedy speaking about this. She also pointed out that, as you did, Ollie, that many of these women removed their hijabs as soon as they were granted asylum here in Australia. And he talked about this, the bravery and the courage of the people in Iran who've been taken to the streets protesting. Rita Kennedy, when I listened to her, made that point as well about just how brave and courageous they were. I wonder how many of us would be brave enough to go out and protest knowing that we could be called for it. I want to talk about what is doing for today. It's a bit of a change of pace because we've heard from former First Lady Jill Biden, who's speaking to her husband, Joe Biden, made his decision to exit the 2024 presidential race. We released set to be released according to reports from the Associated Press. So, Joe Biden told the AP that the memoir would be a reflection of my 4 years as First Lady. And she also said in a video that she wants to set the record today. People are going to go out and Biden is desperate to hear from Jill Biden. I mean, I wonder if it's getting any truth from her, because she clearly wants her husband to find it real and it is the same thing. I wonder if it was her
Well, clearly she's trying to provide the success of First Lady. A number of best of book, New York Times list, and documentary that has shattered the record in the US. It's now number one on Amazon Prime. So clearly she's trying to compete with Melania, and it's been cool.
Minnesota, and now in the journalistic Shirley is listening to California with a new video that was released this week, digging into potential daycare fraud in Golden State.
Can we look out in the daycare? Well, there's other 14 children in the world here in the state of California.
Golden is California's daycare program, which covers hospice care in the state. Now, over the past 5 years, you'll see here that annual budget soared. It is now projected to be over $200 billion with a B. But despite all the money spent, Nixon had stopped building $1 billion.
times to check a fucking window. This time in the desert. You know, take a look at no one coming. You look inside the window. Empty building.